Thank you so much for joining us today to participate in our interview series, Real Patient Stories of Strength and Resilience. My name is Meghan Murphy, and I'm the Senior Coordinator of Marketing and Social Media at Health Monitor, and it's super nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Hi, David. I'm so glad that you can join us today. My name is Joana Mangune, and I am the Editorial Manager at Health Monitor.
And it's great to meet you too, and thank you for doing this.
Yes, so David, thank you again for joining us. Can you just give me a little bit about yourself and your background?
Okay, so I just turned 65, and I don't feel like a senior, but I am here in Canada.
Young.
I have a business. I've been in the paving business for almost 25 years, and I love it. I'm a people person, so I'm always dealing with the public and doing driveways and parking lots and working outside and always meeting all kinds of different people, all kinds of life out there. I recently, a couple of years ago, became a grandfather, and I have a beautiful little grandson, 2 years old, and more or less, I have a beautiful girlfriend, and I have two kids, lovely kids, and my mother is 91 years old, which is amazing. Turned July 1st.
Right, that's such a feat. And as a paver, it sounds like, you lead such an active lifestyle, right? So when were you first diagnosed with kidney cancer, and how did you find out?
Well, what happened is in 2018, I went for a routine ultrasound for my prostate.
Yeah.
And by fluke, they saw that I had a maybe 7.5 centimeter tumor in my left kidney. And when they told me, I just flipped completely out. And I couldn't believe it. Like, when the doctor told me you have cancer and there's a tumor and your kidney has to come out right away.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened is a really, really good buddy of mine, like best friend, he's a doctor. So I called him, flipped out in panic, and told him the story. And within a couple of days, he got me into the hospital, and my kidney was removed, my left kidney. And everything was great. It was contained. There was no cancer. I was good. And I was going on my merry life. And all of a sudden, I did a scan because it was every 6 months. And on my scan, they saw something. And so the urologist said, I see something. We have to do a biopsy. They had to go down my throat. And I'll never forget this day. I went grocery shopping, and it was a rainy day, and I was in my car, and who called me? My best buddy, who's my doctor, Dr. Sheldon Sheskis, and he called me, and he says, "Where are you?" And I told him. He said, "He's sitting, you're standing." And he said to me, I have bad news. And then he said, you have stage 4 cancer. And I started freaking out. And I said, like, what's going on? And he said, well, it basically spread to the lymph nodes and to the lining of your lung. And I think I was crying more than the rain was outside, and it was pouring out. Anyways, I came home, and I remember I called my mother, and I called all my friends and my daughter and my son-in-law. I woke up my son. He was sleeping. It was in the afternoon. We have a seasonal business. He works for me. He was sleeping. And I told him, I said, I have cancer. I'm dying. I was freaking out. And, so that's really where it all started. And more or less, him and his wife, they came over, and we went downstairs into my basement, and my daughter, my son-in-law came in, and my son, and we all went down in the basement, and my buddy took out a pad of paper and tried to explain everything that was going on. And he started drawing like diagrams, and yeah, it was a lot. But his wife was saying to me, you know what? We're going to give you, a day or two to have your pity party, and then you're going to get back up and you're going to fight this. And that's exactly what happened.
Let your emotions out, and like it's it is scary, it's shocking, right? Like, you didn't even have any symptoms at first, right? So it was just kind of like by
No,
fluke.
there was zero symptoms. I had no idea. It was just all by fluke. I thought everything was going great in my life, and then boom. And
Great that
and
you had that annual physical, right? Because that's where it all
yeah,
started.
but absolutely. And they are so unbelievable in the healthcare system here, by the
Right.
way.
Nice.
So after you had your little pity party, how did you take action? And then it's very fortunate that you have a friend who's a doctor, right?
Yeah, he was amazing. Like without him, I think I would have had a hard time, moving forward. Him, and a lot of my friends were like such a force. And what happened is, we started off. I met with the oncologist, and he basically treated me like a number. He walked in, he had his file. It was during COVID. My kids were in the car, and my son-in-law. And so we were doing it by phone where they could hear everything. And my son in law, he wrote all kinds of questions to ask the oncologist. And the problem was that the oncologist told me right away to all of us, it's incurable, unoperable. He basically said to get my affairs in order. I had less than a 30% chance of living up to a couple of years. And I was just, we're all like devastated. My daughter ran out of the car. We were all like freaking out. What happened is my son, his buddy's father's cousin is an oncologist. So
Oh,
he told me, you tell your father to call me. So I call, and he says, call my cousin. He's amazing. He helped my brother out when he had cancer. He's an amazing guy. And I called him, and his name is Dr. Stephen Reingold. What a guy. Like, this guy is Superman without a cape. And I talked to him on the phone, and within 2 minutes, I loved the guy. And he said to me right away, you know what? I have patients that are in way worse shape than you, going on 10 years strong. And he says, go and do your radiation. And when you're done, then you'll come to me, and then we'll start your treatments. And that's more or less what happened. So he basically, between him and my buddy Sheldon Cheskis, Dr. Cheskis, and my buddies, all my friends and family, that was my new road to recovery.
I think it's great that you have such an amazing support system, your kids, your friends, everyone. So I'm glad that they pushed you to get a second opinion. Can you tell me, how is your relationship with your care team? I guess the second care team that you worked with?
Unbelievable. It Dr. Reingold more or less became my buddy. And every time I went to see him, we weren't even talking about my cancer. We were talking about life. And he was so interested in my business and my life and who I am. And you know what? I didn't feel like, every time I went to see him and every time I was on my treatments, it was like, it was so easy because he made it that way.
I know, I love that. And did he give you any advice that you didn't hear from your first doctor that you saw?
He told me that I have a great chance of beating this. And he says that, you know what, positivity, you know what. And I went basically on a diet. I lost probably about 20 pounds. I was very, like, when you looked at me, I looked kind of a little sick. But I made sure I drank like about 8 glasses a day of water. I wrote everything down that I ate, and I was eating salads and no sugar. And I was just really following a program, no alcohol, no this, no that. And I just said, you know what? I was serious about it. And I said, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to beat the you know what out of cancer. And that's what I did.
It's such an amazing, change when you have like an optimistic outlook in life, right? Like once you heard that, like that positive news.
Honestly, when about 8 months into my treatments, my buddy called me up and he says, "You're not going to believe this." He says, "You are 80% cancer free." He says, "I've never seen this in 35 years of practice." He says, "I've looked at all the records," like he was flipping out. And then what happened is my thyroid went overactive and underactive. And
Hmm.
so both my oncologist and my doctor said to me, there's been a study through the years, and when the cancer hits your thyroid, that means that you are beating cancer.
So we talked about your paving business earlier. So I wanted to ask, how did kidney cancer affect your life? How did it affect your work, and how did you get around those challenges?
Well, you know what? I have two partners, and my son works for me, my brother works for me, and honestly, I didn't know if I could still work. Like I was a bit of a mess at the beginning, and I remember saying to my partners, "I don't know, maybe we're gonna have to, talk about a buyout. I don't know if I'm gonna be. I don't know," because I was so unsure what my future would be, especially at the beginning when the first oncologist told me to get my affairs in order. Once I started getting better, um, my attitude was, you know what, every day is a new day and just enjoy it and live it and work. And I was, and I was just enjoying life. And more or less, I told people my story that I have cancer, that I'm fighting it, and people are, like, if I tell you, are incredible. They're amazing.
You need really understanding people around you when you're going
Yeah,
through.
right. And you know what? A lot of people relate because someone has a relative that either passed away from cancer or is fighting cancer. Like you just have no idea what you open up so much when you start telling people a little bit about your story.
Yeah, and you mentioned that in the beginning of your diagnosis, you were in a pretty dark place. So, how did you get out of that dark place while going through your treatment? Did sharing your story help you at all with that?
100%. I think that getting out of this was it just kept getting better. And and I knew that I could beat this. And I had like all kinds of stuff happening to me, like my voice, it became very hoarse and I didn't sound like myself. And that's from a chemo pill. I had to take 2 chemo pills every day. And so my voice sounded like very, very hoarse. Then I got colitis. And, all the things that were happening to me, I still believed, you know what, I'm going to beat this. And just kept going on every day. And after the first year of my cancer, my doctor called me and my buddy, and he said, "You know what?" He says, "I see no cancer at all." He says, "It's like a miracle."
Yeah, that is a miracle, right? Because
He didn't want to tell me anything until he was like 100% sure. He didn't want to give me a wrong information. Said that he cried his eyes out.
that's great. So earlier we talked about how we found you on a Facebook group, right?
Yes.
And now, we talked about your support system. So tell us more about, how did you start sharing your story online, and how did you join these groups?
I put my story out on a couple different sites, and one site hit like I think about 10 to 15,000 people, and they said that this was their biggest story. And the guy that started the site actually messaged me and said, "This is unbelievable, incredible story." And then I was getting hundreds of thousands of messages, private messages like on Messenger, and people wanting to help me and send me stuff and do things for me. It was like crazy.
Amazing when you like open up and actually share your story. Like it's not something that you expect, but like, it's not an easy thing to, share your story and put
I
it
like
out.
to story because you know what? It's a great story. And not only that, it's inspiring for people that are going through anything like me, less than me, or more than me. And for that, at least, you know what? They have a bit of a life support when they hear it can be beat. Because when you hear the word cancer, you right away you think, oh my God, I'm dying. Like you know, like I used to call that, me and my brother when we were kids, the big C. And you know, no one thinks it's going to happen to them until it happens to them. And so if I can help one person, I've done my job. And I've gotten on the phone, I've talked to people in Europe and in the United States and all over. You know, people have reached out to me and I said, call me, or if you want, I'll call. I've talked to their wife or their husband or whoever. And I just told you can do this. And you know what? Proof is in the pudding. I'm in a 5.8% bracket of beating this cancer. My brother-in-law and another guy had the same exact cancer as me, were on the same treatments as me, had the same first doctor as me that told me I would not beat this, and they both passed away. Me, I didn't, and I'm going strong.
I think especially being so close to people who have experienced the same type of cancer and treatment plan as you, that can also put you in a dark place. So I'm really happy that you were able to be optimistic throughout it all. And I think sharing your story really connected you with a lot of people who might be going through a similar situation. So what's a piece of advice that you would give to them after being diagnosed?
My advice to everybody is live today. Enjoy today like it's your last day. Be you, you know, and love yourself. And honestly, that's all I can tell people. Give to people. Give out there. Pay forward. Life is great. And you know what? You have to make it your own life. And I believe like I'm the most positive guy. And I love life. And I enjoy life. And even before this all happened, I was the life of the party. I was the party. And you know what? It can happen to anybody at any time. It doesn't matter who you are or where you are. But enjoy life and enjoy who you're with. And you know what? Keep positive people in your life. Stay away from any negative situations. You don't need drama in your life because it is not good for the insides.
No,
Yeah,
definitely not.
Yeah, that's great advice. So I guess our last question would be, were there any silver linings to this diagnosis, do you think?
That, you know what? It's not over until it's over. And it taught me that, like, you know, because, you know, you go through life and you think you might live. We don't know how long we're going to live. And we all come with expiry dates and we don't know when. But my silver lining is that, you know, I beat cancer, and anything else that's going to happen to me in my life, you know what? I got my boxing gloves on and I'm going to beat whatever is thrown at me. And it taught me that. And, you know, we take things for granted. We all do. It doesn't matter who it is, you, me, the whole world. But at the end of the day, there's nothing more important than health. And you know what? If you're not healthy, it doesn't matter. Money doesn't matter. You don't want to eat. You don't want to go and see entertainment. It doesn't matter. But I've learned that from my journey.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It sounds like going through this kidney cancer diagnosis has given you such, insight. Like it made you realize what's really important in life. And I love it. It's such an inspiration to like hear someone who's gone through all these things and talk about it and say, well, like I've been through this and this is, what's important in life. And I'm so happy.
I believe that, you know what? Music. I love music and I like to dance and I sing. And you should see me. I get into my car and I take the roof off. I got myself a present and I take the roof off and I have the music blaring and I'm singing, and the people next to me are singing with me or laughing or loving it. And they see that I'm living life. And that's the message that you have to put out there, is you have to live life today.
Right. It's, joy is such a contagious feeling that, when you're singing, everyone wants to join you too. It's great.
Honestly, and I love to sing. I'm singing in the shower. I'm singing. I like to sing. I love life, and music is a big part of my life. I love it, and I'm always listening to it. I'm always singing. My girlfriend laughs at me because I know half the words to half the songs. That's really
You're spreading joy, right? That's what you're doing.
I'll end it by, I made a beautiful cancer party, and I invited like maybe about 70 people, and I had a beautiful venue with great food. I had singers, a duet, a husband and wife, and it was amazing. And one of my friends dedicated a song to me, and it was by Journey, Don't Stop Believing. I've never had tattoos in my life. I never got them, but Don't Stop Believing, I have right here. Okay. I put that on, and I put here fighter. So, and I never did tattoos up until
Yeah, I think you really taught me and taught both of us that like health really is wealth, and you need to just enjoy life because you don't know what can happen to you. And one of my favorite things that you said is don't think it won't happen to you because it can, which is just realistic.
honestly, you know what? No one knows until they're wearing your shoes. And it really, really is true. And I did not know it. And it's a life lesson. I've learned a lot through my journey. And thank God for most amazing friends, family, such support. I've had such support. I've had people send me messages that I hardly knew. I'm praying for you. I'm lighting candles for you. I had someone send me a Bible kind of from California. I couldn't believe it. Like, my brother's old friend that I had, didn't see in 30, 40 years. And like people just out of the woodwork, with the support. I remember the very first week when I got diagnosed, my friends and their wives, they sent me meals the whole week from different restaurants every night. And I go, oh my God. So crazy, crazy.
Yeah, that's what you need is that support when you're going through this. And I think going through something like this shows you how much people truly care about you.
That's what I was going to say. It means that a lot of people care about you, and it's
People are
great
amazing.
for you.
People are amazing out there. And like, honestly, I've had almost strangers message me, with beautiful wishes and beautiful thoughts. And you know what? As bad as this world can be at times, people are amazing. There's so many amazing people out there. And I know that, and I'm very fortunate.
I completely agree. Well, David, thank you so much for joining us to share your incredible story and just kind of putting out into the world how important supporting people is. I think that's going to resonate with a lot of others.
Yeah, thank you so much, David. I'm sure a lot of people, will appreciate how relatable you are and for sharing your story with us.
It's my pleasure. It's very, very nice talking to both of you and sharing my story. And I'm proud. I'm proud to let people know that cancer can be beat.